All right, so we are back with chapter 2 of our journey through Mother 3. Um, Last week we left off, we were playing as Flint. Um, we fought the what is it, Drago?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The biomechanical abomination. And then as the chapter's fading out, we see Klaus um, laying on the side of a hill.
Yeah.
Not good when he's already lost his two shoes. Um, did you want to mention anything about chapter 1 before we kind of move on to chapter 2?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's just amusing to me that like losing the shoes, it's kind of like a Charlie Brown thing, right? He's like um been uh been deceived or been tricked. Um and that's sort of like the emblem of that, right? It's humorous rather than like totally tragic, the way it was when we saw the scarf from the mother. Uh so yeah, it leaves off on a really odd kind of cliffhanger,
Hmm.
and then we totally shift gears.
It was like a literal
In chapter two,
cliffhanger.
yeah, right, right. But what is chapter two's title? Is it just like Thief Adventure or something like that?
I think that's right. I forgot I had it pulled up somewhere, but I think that was on my work browser, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, I don't think it matters what the name is. What matters is that we get to play as a new character, uh,
Yeah,
Duster.
yeah. So we wake up in his house, right, and his dad is there, Wes, um, who's telling him like the time has finally come um, for him to test his skills, and he was briefly in the party, right? Like we
Yeah,
have met this character, we named him, and all he could do at that point was the wall staple, which is pretty cool. Uh, but now he's going to get all of his skills, and they all take the form of like different items that Wes has uh, ready for you in the basement. Um, so I think there's seven of them, but only six of them are like the reusable kind. And the seventh one is the thunder bombs that just get restocked, hidden behind the house. Um, they're just kind of silly for the most part, right? They're like the tickle stick and the
yeah,
scary mask.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. I really don't use these that much. I do try to stick to the wall staple because I feel like it works the best. Um, but it seems like different enemies are more susceptible to different ones.
Interesting.
So maybe yeah, there's like certain ones that generally do work and certain ones that generally don't, depending on the foe that you come across.
I
And yeah,
Well,
anyway,
in my experience, I think I tried the wall staples like 3 times and they never worked. So I did not use them successfully once throughout all of chapter 2. And it does look like chapter 2 is Thief Adventure. So,
okay, nice. So
which
that's the whole theme here. Yeah, um, we get treasure boxes, presents, whatever. Um, I mean, the thunder bombs are definitely the best item, but they are consumable. So there's that.
yeah, and I think it's interesting how I don't know, is Duster kind of the Jeff of this game,
Yeah,
or even Lloyd, um, kind of nerdy. Uh, Probably won't learn any PP or any psychic powers, I would assume, but has like
right.
I like the fact that there is a lot of variety with this character. You're almost like forced to use those status effects from the other um, from the tools. I mean, you're really like utilizing what he's strong at. You get to kind of experiment with it, and I think it's much better done than in the other games where it's like, oh, you just use a bottle rocket,
Hmm.
or you make your own weapons from stuff that you fish out of a garbage can. Um, I actually enjoyed playing this part, even though I found it to be extremely difficult.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely a difficulty spike here, um, and it's kind of weird how uh, I think I said this last time, like we're not quite clear on when exactly this is happening. Um, it starts out at night, and the first time I died was in the first battle, which is against the zombies.
Oh yeah.
They killed me. Like that was very disappointing. Um, but uh, there's sort of like one basic area that we're in here, and it's a new location. Right? We're not retracing our steps through the forest. Um, we're not going to any other part of the overworld really. We just go as far as the cemetery, and then we take that underground passage into the castle. Uh, and it's
Well,
like a haunted castle. Yeah.
but before we get to that, I think maybe we should mention the fact that one of the characters has procured $50,000. Um,
Oh, right.
and he has put it down in the well, and he's trusted only you with that information. And if you try to fish it back up and take it, I think there's some comments about like, I don't even know what money is, um, but I'm just going to
Yeah.
put it back. So you have the thief who's kind of like can steal something, and he's like, no, that's not really what I'm all about.
Hmm. That's right.
But
It comes from the merchant, right? We sort of like run into the merchant on
yeah,
our way to the graveyard. Okay, yeah, that's right.
yeah,
Um, and he's got a monkey with him,
no, no, no.
who
I
kind of
don't.
like,
I don't think the merchant is the one that puts the money. I think it's like the guy that kind of looks like Porky
oh
Butch.
yeah, yeah. But I think that the merchant brings the money to town and then gives it to this character.
Oh, okay,
That
okay, that makes
that's
sense.
yeah,
Yeah, because like, where else
yeah,
would this guy get money?
yeah. So he's like always giving away items at the shop, but now he's being paid for them, and he doesn't know what to do with that. Um,
Well, I think this is the first sign of the island going. This is another sign of the apocalypse, right? We're starting like to introduce like capitalism and money and that kind of stuff in here. Um, so,
yeah.
yep, it's clearly on a steady decline.
Uh, yeah, and the um, the idea that there's some kind of like economy here seems like it's reinforced a little bit even by the way that the gravekeeper has like a hidden garden, which I think is pretty cool. He like I guess can't grow things in the graveyard because it's taken up with graves. So he goes through this like underground passage over to the old castle, and he has his garden plot there. And whatever you name your favorite food is what he's growing in the like. There's a little sign like with what kind of plants they are, and it says, "This is my little ravioli patch," because that's what I named my favorite food.
That's good food. I had omelet. I think that was like one of the first default that I went on.
Yeah, that's the don't care option, I think.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I kind of got vibes of like going through Liar exaggerates tunnels down there.
Yes.
You go down there, you have to move the bookcase, and you start going around and you're fighting. I forgot what you fight down there. I tried to avoid as many battles as possible.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're not too bad. Um, there, I guess, is a kind of liar exaggerate feel to it. I got Zelda vibes,
Yeah,
right? Like the
same. Yeah,
Gravekeeper Dompe.
yeah.
Yeah, and the ruined castle. That's a thing in Majora's Mask, I want to say. There's like that old castle that's just got skeletons in it. Um,
Yeah,
so
well,
I don't know.
I was also, in addition to Dompe, just linked to the past, right? Like
Sure.
the beginning, you had to find like a secret entrance into this castle.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And so I wonder if this is like a thing that there are still, castles um, around, and that's like, the kind of, I guess, what a kid would imagine um, as far as going out and playing. You know, you need a setting for that, and so the forest is a good one. We've been there, but now the castle is like the next obvious thing to do. And of course, in most RPGs, we're in like a fantasy setting, and so the castle is like a place that still operates. It's
Hmm.
still like functional. But here, in line with the Mother series, the castle is just a ruin, right? It's a relic, although not that old because Wes apparently hid this item there, within his lifetime. But he's so old that he's kind of forgotten about it. So it's within a generation or two anyway that this place was functional. Uh, and that's like our mission, right? Is to sort of prove ourselves as a thief. We have to get this item, and he won't tell us what it is.
Hmm.
And maybe that's because he's forgotten, or maybe it's because he's really that's part of the test is like to recognize the most valuable thing and get it and bring it back. Um,
Yeah. Did As I was playing through the game, I was starting to kind of get um, Indiana Jones vibes, specifically the third one. I forget which one that is. Um, in the Last Crusade, Last-
Sounds right.
whatever, the one with Sean Connery, where you kind of have the father who just keeps on. Um, yeah, it doesn't show his love very much, and kind of like picks on
Uh-huh.
his kid,
Uh-huh.
and the treasure hunters, and they're kind of going through all this stuff. Um, Granted, I have not seen that Indiana Jones in probably 15 years, so maybe I'm misremembering. But just kind of like, as we play, we get to the castle and we start going through, um, and it's just a pretty typical castle, right? There's
Mhm.
nothing too suspicious. You get in there, you have the classic picture with eyes that are following you everywhere that you're going. You fight the same kind of enemies, suits of armor, um, ghosts. Trying to think if there's anything else.
The carpet monster.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And then maybe a couple more, but yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's anything like of particular note about the castle itself or a journey through it, unless you can think
There's
of
a hot
something.
spring in the basement. I think it's interesting that there seems to be some references back to Final Fantasy VI here also, um, in the way that the ghosts are sort of carrying on. They're having like a little party.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So not all of them attack you, right? Like one ghost trades you items. You give him rotten eclairs, he'll give you beef jerkies and fresh mints. This is the first time we get that status impairment where like you're so nauseated you can't eat food, and that's the only way that Duster can recover because he doesn't have psi powers. So um, it's pretty obnoxious, actually. You have to trade stuff for fresh mints, and then you can recover using items, but then you have to fight more battles to get more items. So there's definitely like it encourages you to train a little bit here. You've got that hot spring, you've got that merchant ghost, and you do have to do quite a bit of backtracking. So one way or the other, you're gonna fight a fair number of battles in here. Um, the uh, like the skills that you have um, of all the items, you can only really use the wall staples outside of battle, and that was something I kind of thought was interesting. Indiana Jones wise, you do get an item in here called the rope snake,
Hmm.
and you can like swing across
Yeah.
gaps with it. But I thought it was kind of a bummer that you can't use any of your other items, like to tickle enemies, or I don't know, make a scary face at something. I don't know. Um, so there are some like platforming elements, very minimal ones, and puzzle solving and stuff, but you don't get to use any other items besides the wall staples.
Where do we get the rope snake? I forget. Didn't we have to buy? Did we have to buy it from someone?
Um, yeah, I think you have to trade again with another ghost.
Yeah, I think it's a couple of
I
the
don't really
eclairs.
remember.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's just another like merchant ghost. And there's definitely like some kind of weird hierarchy among the castle dwellers because there's like one suit of armor that's particularly mean that has its own like room. Um, it's like a mini boss because it's got a sword and shield, unlike the other ghosts.
Hmm.
Uh, and they're all like glad when you defeat it. Um, but yeah, they also we'll see later in our second run through. They get scared of the invaders, and then they all go and hide in the kitchen, which is pretty funny.
Yeah. Um, I'm just trying. I was thinking of something. Uh, I guess one of the interesting things was there anything like significant to the fact that you can travel through the fireplaces aside from just like easily getting down to somewhere?
I so that kept annoying me that you can't climb up them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why I sort of assumed that you should be able to, but anyway, yeah, they're a one-way ride down. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they generally take you to the hot spring or at least close to it.
Yeah.
Um, though, yeah, no, I think you make a really good point about like kind of like the hierarchy. Are you referring to the armor that was in the room where I think is like the painting also come? You have to fight the painting.
There is that one painting. Um, I think it's a different room though. Um, the painting attacks you in the room where you learn about the fireplaces, and
Gotcha.
it's the same abstract art from um, Moonside,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess makes
Uh,
sense.
yeah. And the mouse there, he's like again like trying to keep it a secret from the ghosts. But I guess um, there's something weird about the way that mice are treated in these games. Like in the Mother novelization, uh, the the ghost house, what's it called? Um, like the haunted mansion in Spokane.
Yeah.
Uh, the
Rosemary's house, or
Yeah,
or
exactly, the Rosemary's thing that gets expanded quite a bit, and the mouse that like helps you in the game, the novelist turns that mouse into a an enemy, and has it attack um, Anna, who's the narrator of the story. Um, but it seems like uh, this mouse is much more in line with the actual one, right, from the first game, in that it's like trying to help you out. It's trying to uh, give you hints and make sure that you find everything you need to find. Um, so I don't know. That just like jumped out to me because we have the same sort of setup here, like a haunted place and a helpful like uh, guide mouse. And of course, in Earthbound, you've got the exit mice. So I don't know what's going on with that, but they keep coming back.
yeah. That is interesting. I hadn't considered that, but I also have not had the opportunity to read the novelization
Oh man,
of
it's
Mother.
pretty good. Yeah,
How
but
long is it?
it's one false step. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff in it. It's way too long, I gotta say. I, I I really like the first like I don't know 50 pages or so, um, and then it just like really slows down at a certain point, and I don't know why it's structured the way it is. It's very odd, but it's like 200 pages long.
Oh, good grief! Yeah, I'm not reading that. Um, but yeah, so we travel all the way up to we fight Mr. Passion, I guess his
Oh
name
my
is,
gosh,
um,
yes.
who's some kind of conductor. And so you walk into the room, all the objects are kind of floating around. Um, oh, I guess I did we. I guess I should take a step back since music is such a big theme here. We had mentioned it in episode one about the rhythm. Um,
Oh yeah,
yeah, so when we first go to the castle, um, and we notice that the drawbridge is still up as you're leaving, you step on an ant, or you're about to.
oh
Um,
yeah,
and he basically tells you that you can get up to a 16 note combo, um,
yep,
and that I don't, that was he the one who said that you can hear the beat? Yeah, it has to go to the beat of the enemy music. Um, but that you can even hear their heartbeat when you use the hypno pendulum.
yeah, yeah. So I don't really get it though. Like the heartbeat doesn't seem to line up with the music particularly, and neither one seems to really. I couldn't get more than like two or three hits as far as combos, and it was just from mashing the button. Like I couldn't get the timing down. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I tried. many times to like listen to the beat and actually try to get as many as possible. But like you said, the only times I would actually get it is if I was just like tapping it repeatedly. Um,
Yep.
I think I got maybe one that was 5 long or something like that. But uh, yeah, I feel like it would help a lot if you could just do like one tutorial where like they showed you
Hmm.
kind of how you have to hit it. Um, but yeah, so anyway, so we go up to Mr. Passion's room. He's a conductor. He asks you a question, I think, about his music,
Hmm.
and when you insult him, you end up battling him.
Yes.
And
Yes. You if you can answer it saying that you appreciate the music, but
right,
then nothing happens.
right.
So you have to answer in the negative. uh, I'm pretty sure it's Beethoven's Fifth. That dun 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 dun. That sort of starts it off. But then, yeah, this battle was just like so stressful, so scary.
I think it
Stuff.
took me at least 4 times.
Dang.
I don't know how
Yeah,
many times did it take you.
I don't know how many times I died in the what's it called? The castle. But I did not die in this boss fight. I got really lucky. I didn't die against the snake either, the second boss fight, which was also really hard. But I did get killed by enemies quite often.
So, what was your strategy for Mr. Passion?
Let's see. I think I tried the smoke bomb and it connected, and so his attacks would miss fairly frequently.
Yeah.
Which again is just sort of luck of the draw, really. It's like, first of all, is it going to actually affect him? And it did. And then is his attack actually going to miss? Because really often I would hit, the little rocking horse guys or whatever with the smoke bomb, and it'd be like, oh, they're blinded or whatever, but then they would hit me with all of their attacks, no matter whether they're blinded or not. And so this guy, he uses a bunch of combo attacks. And so if he misses, two out of the three combo attacks, then suddenly he's not quite as powerful. But I definitely had to like scrounge around for some beef jerkies and nut bread and stuff. And then I had held on to all my bombs that I found, so I unloaded with those, and yeah, just sort of outlasted uh, the blind Mr. Passion.
Yeah. I what I did try to put him to sleep, and then I just tried to like lower his attack
Oh
and
yeah.
his defense. And then also, I forget which item it is, but you can also make him cry.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
and
the
so,
smoke bomb.
is that the actual item? Yeah, that's the item that you have. Correct. Okay, I thought the smoke bomb was like something. I was like, is that an item that we picked up? Um, right.
No.
So the smoke bomb. Um, but yeah, it did feel just kind of like lucky that I beat him because it's not like I had a ton of life left when I was done. Um,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm just trying to think. Did we miss any? Mm,
What was that?
I was just trying to think. Like, have we picked up the thing yet?
The thing. It's in the room after him.
The
Yeah. Oh the pendant.
Yeah,
Oh right, yeah, yeah. Right. So there's the mysterious girl who drops down from the ceiling in one of the stairwells, and she drops a shiny pendant in the doorway. Yeah, and we pick it up.
yeah,
We have that.
right. So
I forgot about that.
after we beat Mr. Passion, we go through the door. We find uh, a weird room. It kind of looks like if I'm correct, kind of like the Legends of the Hidden Temple
Right.
guy.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
which I guess that's kind of fitting in here, right? Like this is like a hidden temple. Um,
Yep.
so I wonder if that was intentional or not. But yeah, we get whatever we're supposed to get. Um, and then does Wes come in and see you, or do you go home?
No, you. I think you leave. You go home. It might just even transport you back. I forget. And you're showing off the noble spittoon,
Yeah,
which is this hilarious. It's pretty clear that you're being set up, right? Because there's definitely parts of the castle you haven't explored, But there's another face just like that one down in one of the basements.
Right.
Um, and you're like able to feel a wind blowing, and it's like, okay, but I don't know how to dance, so I can't open this. So anyway, Wes uh like starts to praise you, but it just leads up to like a really blunt one of the many times he like scolds you and calls you stupid and moron. Um, says you're a failure, you know, because you couldn't even tell what was valuable, and he like smashes it right in front of you. Um, but then he notices that you have the pendant, and so he recognizes that it's belongs to the royal family, and so the princess, the girl you saw, is the princess of the castle, and you get to name her at that point, I think. Um, so
Which
we're about
is
to get another party member, which is awesome. Uh, and Wes joins you at this point too to go back and find the real treasure.
mhm. Yeah, I guess just like Indiana Jones, right? Um, but I guess the thing is, the princess is pretty young, right? I mean,
Yes.
so how long has the castle been kind of, I don't know, dilapidated?
Yeah, it's really unclear. Uh, although to me, the princess also kind of looks like the Magypsies. When they
Hmm.
mention how she's like sort of buff and like manly, and so there's this similar kind of like gender um, uncertainty about her. So I don't know if she might also be like very long lived, or like part Magypsy or something. So yeah, I don't know how this chronology is supposed to work exactly.
But yeah, so we go back to the castle, and then so I'm just trying to think. I should have reviewed more before we did this. I did do some work, but anyway, I digress. How do Wes and the princess know each other?
That is a great question. I think what's implied here is that Wes had some powerful item that he was entrusted with, and he like hid it in the castle because it would be safe there. It's not clear if like this powerful item belonged to the royal family already, and that would make him like some sort of like knight or at least servant of the royal family, um, or if he just like is making use of this convenient, large castle to find a good hiding spot. Um, and then this is further complicated because when you go through and he he does his little dance and the mouth opens and laughs, so you can walk through. Then the first thing you see is what's clearly like a magical item of some kind
Hmm.
out in a courtyard. But he's like, that's not the one I'm talking about. So it's sort of like this irony of the thief, like the great know-it-all thief Wes, either doesn't know about or just won't be able to access this other powerful, valuable item out there.
Yeah, I also think it's worth mentioning. By the time we get back, um, those the pig guys are back,
Oh
um,
yeah, that's right. It's daytime, and the pigs have rolled into the castle over the drawbridge that you let down.
which makes our trek back up there even that much more perilous. Um,
Oh yeah,
okay, so then, oh,
and they
okay,
beat up the gravedigger, which I think is awful. He's like all lying on the ground, wounded.
yeah.
Um, and all yeah, like I said, all the ghosts are terrified of the pigs.
Yeah, but like you said, so yeah, we did get the princess, um, and you're traveling again deeper into the castle, and randomly she gets like a fever.
Yes, yes, and so she'll not be able to run, which is annoying. Um, and I think she can't like use items or anything. But it goes away pretty quickly, and she learns some new spells, which is nice.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. I don't know what triggers.
It could be experience. But it's like it's a throwback to the original Mother game where you learn psi powers not in line with your leveling up. It's just sort of like at other random times.
Well, yeah, I don't understand that one either, though. Like, I get that
Yeah,
it's a callback, but I don't understand either of how they work.
like the
Um,
mechanism behind it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, it's fine. It's like, yeah, they just begets more questions.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, so then I guess we're going through. She's pretty powerful. She starts off with PSI Thunder and PSI Freeze,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
and she has a heavy dose of PP. Um,
Hmm.
so it does make it a little bit easier to go through a lot of these enemies because she packs quite the punch. And I think I even solidified um, a couple of enemies using ice, so that was nice as
Oh,
well.
nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that Wes is like the secret weapon here, though. Like, depending on what he does, because you can't control him,
Right.
he can deal, like 100 plus damage with his like secret thief attack. And he can throw thunder bombs. But then he also will just like waste turns scolding or doing his regular attack, which isn't bad, but isn't anything special. Um,
Yeah. No, You're right. That's another point. There's just like so much RNG. Um,
hmm.
it's you don't know how often your staples are going to hit or your
Hmm.
hypno or whatever. So it's just yeah. So I guess that was the one frustrating thing. It's just kind of overly reliant on the RNG of the game to beat these enemies.
Hmm.
Because yeah, I mean it really half the time they would be easy to kill. The other half, I felt like I was ending up dying.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, the same thing with the thunder Psy. It's powerful when it connects, but it also can miss.
Yeah,
It's really frustrating.
yeah. Still a lot better than Earthbound Beginnings though.
Oh yeah.
Because at least this one you can actually tell like what they do, and you actually get good ones early on in the game. Um, but yeah, so eventually we make our way up to the room again where we fought Mr. Passion. Um, well, I
Yeah.
guess yeah. So we haven't actually met the princess yet. We meet her in there, but I think he does the dance, and he's quite embarrassed about it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say he, I mean Wes, who I guess we've already gotten an ex. God, now I can't think of the chronology of this. We already know that he was familiar with the castle,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so it makes sense that he would know this weird dance that his son is not allowed to look at.
Right. Uh, the dance is awesome. It reminds me of having to open the Sphinx um, in Earthbound, where the clue is like you have to dance in front of the Sphinx. But in that game, you just sort of like walk in the star pattern.
Yeah,
Here, it's actually a little dance, and again, this is like taking advantage of some advances in the technology, I guess, to where you can do little cutscenes like this.
oh, and they took advantage of that technology quite a bit. Um, there are a lot of cutscenes in this game. Not that I'm necessarily complaining, um,
Yeah.
but sometimes they drag on a little too much. Um,
Okay.
I don't think. Okay, so then eventually we're just kind of like making it through. So yeah, eventually she joins us. We go. Okay, so I guess the item that we were looking for this entire time is the Egg of Light,
Exactly.
which
Yeah.
causes the party to plummet to fight. So again, booby trapped relic artifact that's booby trapped.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Indiana Jones is I guess what I was alluding to there.
Totally. But also like Mr. Burns's room in The Simpsons, where he'll just like push a button and drop whoever is in front of his desk, right? This is a classic, uh, and it drops us into like the water source for the castle, I guess, and there's like all skulls piled up. And so of course we have another boss battle here. Um, Not against the pigs and their clay people this time because they haven't been able to penetrate this far into the castle, but against the like uh, you know, the it seems like the snake is named after the castle because the castle is called Osohe, and so
Yeah.
the snake is Oso Snake, um, and it's pretty gnarly. I again got really lucky, I think, to survive this one. I used like all the items I had. and this thing has a ton of HP. I feel like this battle just took forever.
Yeah, no, I agree. It I don't know if I beat it on my first try. It didn't take me that long. It was either my first or second try. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, is this kind of like Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets? We have this like giant
Mm-hmm.
snake that's just going around and people are disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so the snake itself looks like a very derpy kraken.
It does kind of, yeah. Call back to the Kraken for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. But yeah, this is another battle. Made easier. Well, not made easier, but you can at least start like doling out decent damage with the princess, which I guess is
Yeah.
interesting. I don't know if that's like a commentary on like Mario.
Right. Right. She's not a damsel in distress, but she is by far the strongest member of the party.
Yeah,
Although her HP is pretty low. I mean, that's the thing. Again, you got to get kind of lucky about um, just surviving certain amounts of damage here. Um, and eventually, the snake starts doing this thing where it'll do the tidal wave attack,
yeah,
but then it'll take a turn to recover. And in that turn, Wes, at least for me, consistently hits it with the stinky socks that paralyze it for a
yeah,
few turns. So I could like just definitely like easily recover and replenish PP and everything, and then just get back to the damage dealing. Um, yeah, yeah, fun battle.
yeah. So we beat the what? Okay, so what happens after we beat the snake?
So then the spigot is take or whatever it's called. The stopper is taken out, and we get flushed down, and the two of them wash up right near Duster's house. Um, and Wes is like recovering in bed for a while and wakes up eventually, and Duster is gone, and they don't know where he's gone, and he's got the egg. So the hummingbird egg, the light egg, is missing along with Duster. We don't know where he's been swept away by the water, um, and no one seems too concerned about this. Um, like we're pretty sure he'll turn up, but then the narrator sort of comes in, and there's sort of like a recap of what's happened so far, and then it leaves off sort of asking like what's new with the kids with Lucas, and so I assume that's who we're going to play as in chapter 3. Although I don't know.
Well, I do know, but I won't spoil it for you. Uh,
Okay.
have we gotten to the point yet where Butch has lost his money and it's not in the well anymore, and you get accused of stealing it?
Oh, you're right. You're right. So does that mean that Duster does wash up somewhere and then gets accused? That would make sense. Yeah.
No, I think it might be like, oh yeah, we can't find Duster.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I think that's what happened. I just remember being like, it wasn't me. Um, you got to use the Shaggy defense. Um,
Classic. Yeah. Well, so then the question is, yeah, who did steal the money, right? We have another mystery here, uh, and it's interesting that they can sort of like recognize that money is valuable, while simultaneously like they care that it's gone, but they also don't really know what it's for.
right.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Um, yeah. It's almost like I'm trying to think of a good analogy there. I mean, I guess you could probably say it's the same as like NFTs right now, where I don't know what it is, but people are telling me that it's going to be worth something, so now I'm interested.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so that concludes kind of chapter. Well, kind of concludes. It does conclude chapter 2. Do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I think in terms of like what we've seen in this game so far, the the um the role of the parents is kind of interesting. How uh, the first one we get to play as the father character primarily. The mother character is uh, sort of off stage, protecting the kids, and she sacrifices herself presumably. And then here we again have the father character on stage a lot, but he's like really a bad parent, or at least a very like stern parenting style going on here. Um, and the mother is totally absent, and in place of that, we do sort of find this like princess character. Um, Unclear if she's going to be like a romantic interest, or yeah, kind of what her whole story is. Um, but I found that sort of structure to be kind of interesting here. There's definitely a focus on parents and how they work, or the effects that they have on their kids.
You know, you stole my thought. I had the same note. I was like, oh, it's kind of interesting. You know, you play as a father, you get to go on an
Yeah,
adventure
yeah.
with your father, and the fathers are flawed. Um,
Oh yeah.
it's not like they're perfect. Flint, you know, maybe it's a little too harsh to say um, that he has a bad trait because of his temper and like smacking someone with the bonfire. Um,
Right.
you know, but yeah, they're flawed. And then like you were saying, Wes is just kind of an asshole um, to his son. Just doesn't seem like he ever wants to show any kind of affection to his son. Um,
Yeah.
and then yeah, so yeah, I had the same note. Um, the other thing, and maybe this is more on me than the game itself, but it seems like it's a lot more. There's like a lot less that you can explore.
Hmm.
It seems a lot more linear um, than Earthbound. Granted, we're only in chapter 2, so how open was Earthbound? By the time you got to like Tucson,
Yeah.
I feel like you could probably. I think you probably had more places to roam. In this game, you can go to maps and he'll
Yeah.
circle exactly where you need to go. Which,
Yeah. Again, he's kind of like the Tingle character. Um, in the Zelda games, you have that map giving character. Uh, but yeah, this game really steers you, in a pretty limited way, at least so far. Now, other characters will talk about other places. Like if you go way over to the ocean, there's a girl who looks just like Paula, actually.
yeah,
I think she's called Nana, and she'll say something about this other island where dreams and nightmares come true. And then she's like, "Oh, but I don't know. Like, no one's ever been there, so who knows? How do I even know about this place?" Um, so there's suggestions that there's going to be a wider world to explore, but so far, not so much.
yeah. So far, we're confined on an island,
Yeah,
so it's kind of hard to escape that. Um, but yeah, I mean, regardless, I still like the game. It was hard for me not to play ahead, um, because I'm really looking to start chapter 3. So I guess we have Earthbound Beginnings. That is maybe one of the most like open world RPGs that I know
mm-hmm,
of. Um,
mm-hmm,
I think you can like progress it, the 8 items that you need. You can get them basically like in any order. There's kind of like out and about, so you just have to find
mm-hmm.
them. It kind of reminds me of the original Legend of Zelda um,
Yeah,
on on
yeah,
Nintendo. But yeah, I guess now as Toy's probably trying. It seems like he's trying to tell a much more in-depth story, and I think
right.
with that comes you kind of have to follow uh, pretty a path that doesn't deviate too much, right? They're like you can't do like sequence breaking.
Yeah, and it's partly because of the way we switch to different characters,
Yeah,
right? It's like that seems to really structure a lot of what we get to do is who we're playing as.
yeah,
Um, and there's no clear like place where these characters are really going to converge, at least not yet. But the pigs clearly are a bad guy. They tear up, they experiment on animals. Uh, well, I think this very start of chapter 3, before I turned off the game, has them talking to to the merchant, right? So they're sort of like involved in bringing money and greed to the island. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like the saying, greedy as a pig.
yeah,
I mean, I think this is it for this episode, but I do want to put a pin in one thing, which is we were talking about Legend of Zelda vibes earlier,
oh
and I
yeah,
can't help but notice all of the like areas that are kind of similar to Legend of Zelda. Like we just talked about the castle, and maybe these are just like in every game, right?
mm-hmm,
Um, but in Earth, you have the pigs, right?
mm-hmm,
Ganondorf, or is it Ganon? I forget which one is the pig form.
right.
Is the antagonist in that. Um, and actually, I'm gonna post something in the Discord. Um, but it looks to me like if you look at the Earthbound Beginnings, hold on, let me just see if I can find it real quick. Um, Walkthrough. Come on, all right. Well, I'll post it after. But anyway, the entrance to it, and I hope I'm not going too off the road like what people think the Apple of Enlightenment is at the end of
Okay.
Earthbound. But in the mountains, on the mountains that you enter with at the end, right? There's the three stones. You get rid of them and you go through. It looks like the face of it it looks like it makes the face of a pig. Um,
Oh, cool.
so hold on. Let's just see. I'm going to stop the recording 'cause I don't want people just to sit here and listen to me ramble while I try to find a picture. But so yeah, so I'll see you guys next week, I guess.
Yeah,
I think chapter a week is a kind of a good thing to do, right?
seems doable
All right. Well,
for sure.
till next time.